Good afternoon and welcome to our live Next Steps webinar brought to you by the Hertfordshire Opportunities portal. That is www.hopinto.co.uk. This is a one-stop shop specific to Hertfordshire that provides all live current vacancies and training opportunities, as well as other key careers and labour market information for residents of Hertfordshire who wish to explore careers opportunities. My name is Davidson. I work for the Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership. Today we are recording a webinar to focus on next steps available for any Year 13 school leavers, to focus on the next steps available for you. Specifically looking at Year 13 students who don't have any definite plans for September. That was certainly true of me when I was in Year 13 and got my A-level results. I didn't know what I was going to do next. So we hope that today is going to provide you with some information and a bit of inspiration, maybe tell you about things that maybe you didn't know are out there at the moment at all, possibly just to go into a little bit more detail and answer some of the questions that you might have. Appreciate that at this time in particular, it's a very uncertain time, so we really want to make sure that you have got lots of really good information so you can make some good decisions about what your next steps are going to be. We're not going to talk about universities or further education colleges today, largely because your schools are very, very well versed on what is happening with regards to universities and schools. There's probably nothing that we can add to that, but what we can talk about today though are opportunities within employment, within training and within apprenticeship. So our panel of experts who you're all going to hear from will talk you through those options, and then we really want to welcome you to ask questions of our panelists. So anything that's uncertain to you or anything that gets mentioned that you want to know a little bit more about, please ask your questions. You can do that through the chat facility. So on your dashboards, one of the options on there is chat. So if you click on the chat, a text box opens out, and then you can type your question in, and then that will come through to me, and then I will ask the question to the most relevant member of our panel to give you an answer on that one as well. So from what I understand from the registration, that some of you watching now, those of you watching live, are going to be students, so this is who this directly impacts. I know there are also some parents that are watching as well, and possibly from some school teachers. So whoever you are, please do ask us questions if there's anything that you do want to know a little bit more about. Just another bit of housekeeping as well, just to reassure you, we can't see or hear any of you that are attending. So the only people that are visible and will be audible will be me as the presenter, and then our panelists who you will all hear from. So we can't see or hear you, so you are completely anonymous. When you're asking your questions, we won't use your names as well, unless you specifically want us to as well. I'm going to ask each of our panelists in turn to give you a little bit of a presentation about their particular area of expertise, and they will be able to highlight some options that are available to you. Once we've heard from all four of them in turn, then we will come back into this forum here, and then you will be able to ask any questions, and if there's any follow-up conversations or discussions that crop up, we can do that. So if you ask your question, if you put your question in whilst one of the panelists are giving their presentation, we may not ask it until all four panelists have spoken, because it may be covered within there. But rest assured, if you ask a question, we will do our very, very best to answer it directly for you. So first of all, I'm just going to share my screen with you. And so I mentioned that this broadcast is brought to you by HOP, so that's Hertfordshire Opportunities portal, www.hopinto.co.uk. Please do familiarise yourself with this site. We think it's a really, really useful site for anyone who's interested in careers. We will refer to it throughout this broadcast as well. But if you've not looked at it already, please do so. It's very, very specific to Hertfordshire. And then the purpose of today's session really is to provide a variety of practical options for any Year 13 school or college leavers without a definite path and who are not considering further or higher education. Those are your this is your list of speakers today and the areas that they are going to cover. So without any further ado, I am going to hand you over to Emma Gratwick, who's a senior development worker for IC Hertfordshire, who can explain to you the Pathways to Success programme. So Emma, over to you.
Hi, thanks for having me today, Gareth. and everyone. Yeah, so as Gareth mentioned, my name's Emma Gratwick and I'm a senior development worker for YC Hertfordshire, which is a part of Hertfordshire County Council. We're currently running a programme called Pathways to Success, which is aimed at supporting young people into some kind of a positive outcome. So the aim of the programme really is to support and develop your skills towards your perhaps job applications, interviews or job searching. It can help you gain employment, an apprenticeship or training. The programme is for young people that are potentially at risk of becoming not in education, employment or training in year 11 or 12 at school, or more specifically for yourselves aged 16 to 24 and currently not in education, employment or training. You must be a permanent resident of the UK and eligible to work in the EU. So the programme itself, it's obviously a free programme for yourselves to join, and the duration of it is sort of 1 to 6 months, although that is dependent upon how much or how little support and help that you might actually need. So it could be quicker than that if you manage to gain an outcome into employment or education or an apprenticeship before that, or we could work with you for longer. So on average, it's around about sort of a 30-hour programme, and it includes a work experience placement. Usually it includes work experience placement, but obviously in the current climate, the work experience placements are currently on hold. However, we are hoping that they can sort of resume at a little bit later date in the year. In place of the work experience placement, we are offering alternative employer engagement activities, virtual work experience placements, employer webinars, that kind of thing. So you'll complete different activities on the programme, and an example of some of those activities might be to update your CV or help you create a CV, helping you navigate the interview sort of process, whether it be for college or university or jobs or apprenticeships, helping you with the interview skills that you need. We will be covering maybe things like work behaviours, helping you to develop online profiles and networks, maybe things like mock interviews, and just helping you to navigate what options are available to you. So we will also support you following any kind of positive outcome. So if you manage to get a job or an apprenticeship or a training opportunity, we'll still support you once you start and kind of help you to maintain that. The benefits of the programme are that it gives you individual tailored support from one person. So our personal advisors will work with you individually throughout that period of time, helping you to explore career pathway choices, helping you to gain knowledge of the next steps needed to help you achieve, and also to further develop your skills and employability characteristics in the world of work. So you can apply for this programme now, and you can apply and make a referral, or if you have somebody that you would like to refer, by either calling us on the number which is on this page here, or you can email us on that email address there, or visit our YC Hertfordshire website. And I think Gareth will probably direct you to the LEP website as well, where there's links to all of the programmes that everyone's going to be talking about today. So hopefully that will support you and help you to make the choices that you might be uncertain about and what is available to you at the moment. So that's it from me.
Okay, thanks very much, Emma. Again, if you've got any questions on or want to ask or clarify anything that Emma's just said, put your questions in the chat, and then we will come on to them once we've heard from all of our panelists. So you just heard from Emma. I'm going to hand you over now to Viv from the Jobcentre Plus team, who will be able to talk you through some of the options that are available through their services. So Viv, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Gareth. Thanks, Emma. That was informative. Right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for dialing in. My name's Viv, and I'm a schools and colleges advisor for the Department for Work and Pensions. I normally go into schools and colleges and deliver presentations to students about employability and getting ready for life after school. I also attend careers fairs and parents' evenings to talk about the civil service, as I'm a civil servant. So that's what I'm going to do today, as well as giving you some ideas for what to do next. So, have you thought about becoming a civil servant? There are over 400 government departments throughout the UK, with more than 400,000 civil servants working in them. Departments like Department for Education, everything to do with schools, the DVLA for driving, HMRC for tax, Crown Prosecution, there's Department for Food, Environment and Rural Affairs, Houses of Parliament, Department for Work and Pensions, to name but a few. I'm not going to name all 400 of them, okay? There are a couple of ways to get into the civil service, and one of them is our civil service fast stream. By the way, this slide that's up, as I'm walking through, all the website, the links to all the websites are on all of these, so you don't need to change the slides, thanks Gareth, just leave that there. So, as I said, the civil service fast stream. Now, this is an award-winning development program for young people with the potential to become future senior leaders. It's a 2, 3 or 4 year program, depending on which scheme you do. There are 15 schemes to choose from. Again, I'm not going to list them all, but some of them are commercial, digital, finance, economics, Houses of Parliament, human resources, project delivery, science and engineering. As I said, there are 15 of them to choose from. If you do decide to choose the Houses of Parliament, for example, you will actually be working in Westminster. In fact, whichever one you choose to do, you will be placed in the government department for your placement. The starting salary is between £27,000 to £28,000 a year, with the potential to earn £45,000 to £55,000 a year on completion. And there's a flexible working pattern, and there is a job on completion of the scheme. It's open to any final year graduate, undergraduate or degree apprentice, and you'll be placed in one of the above departments and will be contributing to work that impacts on society. Another way to enter the civil service is through direct entry. For this, you do not need a degree, just GCSEs, as it's competency based, so you'll be tested on your ability. You'll be asked to give examples of your employability, which can be drawn on from your life experiences. Once you're in the civil service and have been in for a couple of years, you can then opt to do the fast stream. We're actually advertising for staff right now. So again, if you go onto this website, you'll see that we're actually advertising for staff throughout the country, actually. So again, for details to how to apply it, look at the website, okay? But if you don't fancy joining the civil service and you're looking for a job in your local area, the best place to look is on our website, gov.uk find a job, or jobhelpcampaign.gov.uk, where there are jobs, ideas and advice for job seekers. We also have a Twitter account where we post local jobs on a daily basis. This can be found by typing @JCP in heart into your search engine. So you don't have to have a Twitter account to look at these. These are jobs where employers have just rung us up and asked us to advertise their job. So it's good to keep an eye on these, as they're being updated all day, every day. We also post announcements there for things like job fairs and store openings. I know that in Hertfordshire, they're currently running a recruitment on hospitality with one of our providers. They're looking for everything to do with hospitality and catering across the whole of Hertfordshire. Again, look at our websites for information on these jobs. Again, the information's on the slide if you're interested to have a look at that. Now, if you feel you still need a hand with your job search, there's a brilliant online tool that you can use. It's called Skills to Succeed. It's run by Accenture, and it's a free digital interactive program that helps you develop your skills. It's interactive, innovative, and engaging. You can complete bite-sized modules with relatable characters and interactive exercises. You can do this at home and in your own time. It empowers you to take charge of your job search through decision-based learning by playing out work-based scenarios in interactive videos. You'll get instant feedback from the online characters and an online coach. That's the Skills to s2sacademy.com, Skills to Succeed. To access it, you just need the access code DW1BH1, and then you're in. For those of you who prefer a one-to-one approach, there's the National Career Service, also called NCS, not to be confused with National Citizen Service, which you may have come across in school. National Career Service offer free impartial advice and guidance to help with decisions about careers, courses and work. At the moment, they're offering online advice, but they will be offering face-to-face as lockdown eases. They can also help with CVs and interview techniques. They'll help with job descriptions, average pay for the role, courses to do for that job, skills needed for a particular job, daily duties, and the job prospects. You can even take a skills assessment and a skills health check, which will give you ideas about the right job for you. They're going to be having a virtual careers fair next Monday and Tuesday, the 24th and 25th of August. So if you go onto their website, you can log on then to the virtual careers fair, which is on next week. Or they have a phone number that you can ring and speak to an advisor. Again, the 0800 100 900 number, so you can call that if you want to speak to somebody. Now, if anyone has a health condition, including mental health or a disability, then Access to Work can help. They give support once you're in work, or if you're offered a job but can't access the workplace for a particular reason. They will speak to the employer and arrange for adjustments to be made so you can do your job with things like installing special equipment, like a desk being lowered or being raised, or a chair that needs a headrest or without a headrest, or armrests, or even they can have a slope installed so you don't have to use the stairs. Any adjustments needed to help you do your job, they're there to help you with that. They can also support you to get to and from your workplace. If traveling is a problem, for example, you might need someone to travel with you. This can be arranged. Again, on their website, Access to Work. Okay. Now, if you want a break from all this job searching and fancy some time out with a change of scene and to meet new people, then maybe the Prince's Trust might be right for you. The Prince's Trust is a youth charity that helps 11 to 30-year-olds, that's 11 to 30-year-olds, into jobs, education and training. If you're aged between 18 and 30 and have a business idea, you could join their Young Enterprise Scheme. This is where they'll look at how viable your idea is and help you with a business loan. They will give you sessions on how to run a business and get you set up. They'll stay with you for the first 6 months to support you until you're up and running. Or if you don't fancy that, they will be running what they call some Explore events. These will be in October and November this year. These are for anyone who has no idea of what they want to do. These events are designed to boost your confidence and suggest new ideas for you. After the Explore events, they lead on to their Get Intos. They'll be starting a Get Into Nail Art next Monday. They're having a Get Into Health from the 7th of September and a Get Into Railways later this year for anyone interested in anything to do with railways, from the booking office to driving a train. Now, Prince's Trust have been successfully running these programs for a good few years. They work with employers such as Marks and Spencer's, HSBC Bank, and the National Health Service, with potential job offers at the end. You get job experience and training, a job interview, interview techniques, you'll meet new people, and you'll get a foot in the door. The courses run from anything from 2 days to a few weeks, depending on the job. It's free, they pay your travel expenses, and lunch is included. At the end of the program, you'll be mentored for 6 months to help you plan your future if you're not offered a job. Okay. Prince's Trust also have a team program. This is for 16 to 25-year-olds. It's a 12-week program to gain skills and experience and to boost your confidence. This includes a week-long residential. Have a look online to see a video of the sort of things they do during this week. It's action-packed with activities such as kayaking, high ropes, orienteering, cooking, photography, and drama. You'll also have the chance to do something for the community, like transforming a park or a community centre. There's going to be a team programme starting in Hemel, one in Watford, one in Welwyn Garden City, and one in Hatfield on the 21st of September. So again, if you're interested, get online to have a look at what they're doing, and you can sign up online. Now, if you do go online to have a look at what's coming up for their team programme, even though you're signing up to it, doesn't mean you're straight away on it. What they will do is they'll get in touch with you. If you put your contact details on, they'll get in touch with you and they will talk you through. They'll talk to you a bit about what your aspirations are, if you know what you want to do, if you don't know what you want to do, and then they'll tell you a bit about what the team program, tell you more about what the team program involves. And then if you're still interested, you can sign up to it. If none of the above are appropriate for you, you have the option to claim universal credit. Now, if you do claim this, you will be put onto the Youth Obligation Support Programme. Now, this programme offers intensive support from day one of a universal credit claim if you're aged between 18 and 21. You'll be assessed by a work coach and placed into a work group depending on your ability. You'll be booked to attend 2 workshops and 2 follow-up meetings within the first 4 weeks of your claim. You may, once lockdown has eased, also be called into the Jobcentre to see your work coach every week for up to 6 weeks to look at your job search and possibly be referred to one of the aforementioned programmes just to speed up and help your job search. If you're still claiming universal credit after 5 months, you'll be offered either a traineeship, a sector-based work academy, or 3 months work experience. Traineeships are a type of vocational development training where you learn about the industry and the job you are in. They will include a work placement and offer young people aged 16 to 24. The aim is for you to learn new skills and gain work experience. They're designed to help you progress onto further education, an apprenticeship, or work. If you didn't gain GCSEs in English or maths, they include an element of English, maths, and digital support. You'll also get help with CVs and interview techniques. They can last from 6 weeks to 12 months, but most last less than 6 months. They're not necessarily paid, unlike apprenticeships, as they're a training program, but you may get expenses from the employer for lunch and travel. The sector-based work academy, I just mentioned, are what we tend to use at the Jobcentre to place people into work when employers who we are working with are prepared to train staff for a few weeks prior to employing them. They consist of a few weeks training for the role, then a couple of weeks work experience at the place of work where there are vacancies, followed by an interview with the employer. You remain on universal credit and still receive your benefit while you're on the sector-based work academy. Work experience you know about, but this is where you go to work at a placement chosen by the Jobcentre unless you have an offer from an employer of your own choosing. You'll go to work for a few agreed weeks to discover what the work entails. This gives you a chance to see if the work is what you expected and if it suits you, and for the employer to see if you fit in with their company. This is also unpaid, so you remain on universal credit until the end of the placement, where you'll either be employed or carry on claiming universal credit. So these are just some more options for you to think about. Hopefully you've heard something that you want to follow up. As I said, contact details all on the slide, so either take a photo of it or write down the ones that interest you. And that's me, so thank you for listening.
Thanks very much, Viv. Yeah, and that's a really extensive range of different options, either from apprenticeships and jobs with the civil service, right through to some of the really good courses that the Prince's Trust run, which will aim to try and build some more skills that will put someone in a really good position to be able to go and seek employment or to consider their next option. So thanks very much for explaining that to us, Viv. Just to make you all aware as well, this session is being recorded, so if you miss some of the information on some of the screens now, it will be available via our YouTube channel. I'll tell you how you access that. That will be available from tomorrow morning onwards, so don't worry if you miss out on anything. Okay, our next speaker then is Anna from Amazing Apprenticeships. So Anna, over to you. Oh, Anna, you're still on mute.
I am, sorry, I got that warning sign up, thank you. Yeah, good afternoon everyone, and yeah, lovely to be able to talk to you this afternoon. I'm going to be covering apprenticeships and traineeships. So just a little bit of background about myself. I was one of those year 13 students at a school in Hertfordshire who didn't want to go to university but didn't really know what I did want to do with my life. So I ended up moving into a job to get some money in. Then I went travelling, first time I'd ever flown, and I got on a flight to New Zealand because you could, and it looked like it might be quite good fun. So I went and lived and worked in New Zealand for 6 months, and then came back and I got my first temp job as a receptionist working in a college, actually in North Herts College, in their new centre that had just opened in Letchworth. I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted to earn some money, and so figured I could probably work as a receptionist and get some money whilst I worked out what to do with my life. And then I started to get the opportunities presented to me. So whilst I was working on reception, they said, would you be interested in undertaking some training? Would you then like to apply for a full-time job as a receptionist? And I thought, do you know what? I'm not doing anything else, I might as well. So I applied for the job and I was successful. And actually, that was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I didn't realise it at the time, but what that set me up for was a career in the world of education, which I've ended up having a really great kind of employed career in, and then 10 years ago set up my own business to help to spread the word about apprenticeships and other routes. So as a business, we now work with 5,000 schools and colleges across England. We're based in Hertfordshire though, still live in Hitchin, and lots of connections to the local area. Our business is based in Hitchin, but we work nationally to help to talk to people about apprenticeships and traineeships and T-levels and lots of other things, and help them to realise what those opportunities are and the possibilities. So it's great to be able to speak with you today, because I do really get it and I do really remember. It might have been quite a long time ago, but I still can remember very vividly how I felt when I got my A-level results, and lots of friends were kind of very excited that they were going off to university, and I was in a different place, and I had all of those uncertainties as well of, well, if I stay living at home, and obviously I did then decide to go travelling, but if I do that, will I have any friends? Will anyone be left in the area? Who am I going to socialise with? You know, what's my social life going to look like? And all of those questions and concerns. But let me just reassure you, I think 18-year-olds have an inbuilt fun-seeking element to them, so you will not be without a social life, whether that comes through a job that you take up or a course or a program that you do, like Viv was talking about Prince's Trust. You know, you could meet friends who will be with you for life, so please don't let that be a worry to you, but do try and spot the opportunities that are going to be presented to you in the coming weeks and months, because there's going to be so many things that you might want to consider. So stay open to all of them, get all of your options in front of you, and then decide what it is that you might want to do. And remember, if you change your mind, that's okay too, and you can kind of change between any of these options that we're talking about today. So I'm going to talk to you first about apprenticeships. So Gareth, if you could move the slide on for me, please. Oh, these don't seem to be the slides that I sent over, actually. Are there some more from the beginning that explain what an apprenticeship is? They seem to have jumped forward quite a bit. Okay.
Oh, so it's
all right, I can freestyle it. I'll this is the joys of technology. Right. Whilst I let you have a look at those, I'll get going. So with apprenticeships, first and foremost, lots of people get quite caught up on the fact that, you know, what is an apprenticeship? What counts as an apprenticeship? An apprenticeship is basically when you are working and learning at the same time, and you will be working towards a government approved program of qualifications, knowledge, skills and behaviours, they call it. You will be employed in the workplace with a contract of employment. You will be paid, and what you get paid will depend on what the employer wants to pay you, but as a minimum you will be paid the national minimum wage for apprenticeships. But really in Hertfordshire we see salaries, starting salaries for apprentices of anywhere between the national minimum wage for apprentices right up to maybe £17,000, £20,000 working locally. And of course, if you decided to look at opportunities for apprenticeships in London, you might find that salaries go up even more. The range of apprenticeships that are available are quite incredible, really, and new apprenticeships keep coming out every day. So it's really, really important that you do your research. If there is a career where you think, wow, you probably can't do that through an apprenticeship, I challenge you to just go and have a look, because there's very few career pathways now where there isn't an apprenticeship that would at least help you to get on that first rung of the ladder. With apprenticeships, they do range in levels, so they range all the way from level 2, which it would be more typical for someone coming out of school after GCSEs to start at a level 2, but we do have some A-level leavers who will start at a level 2 as well, all the way up to level 7, which is actually a master's degree. So if you are thinking, actually, I might like to get a degree at some point, but I'm not sure if that kind of going to university in the full-time traditional way is for me, I'm not sure if I want to leave home, I'm not sure if I want the cost, then you could look at an apprenticeship, because apprenticeships will enable you to access a degree apprenticeship and then potentially move on to a master's level as well. With all apprenticeships, there is no cost to the individual. So even though you could ultimately find yourself on a degree apprenticeship, you won't be paying the fees. So the good thing about apprenticeships is the cost of the training will be covered by the employer and or the government, and it will depend on the size of the employer and kind of incentives and funding that they're able to access, but there will never be a cost to you as the individual. So you will be working usually full-time, which means at least 30 hours a week, but it's much more typical that an apprentice would be doing maybe 37 or 40 hours a week. We don't see very many apprentices on 30 hours a week, but they can actually be done in less hours as well. So if you had caring responsibilities, or perhaps it was a job role that meant that you couldn't work for 30 hours a week, then it can be 16 as a minimum. But basically, most of them are full-time. The government have been really kind of tightening up on apprenticeships. Here we go. So they've been really kind of tightening up and making sure that the quality of apprenticeships is really good. So one of the things that they've been doing is going through what's called an apprenticeship reform, which is basically where the government have looked at different things, and they've looked at the way that the training is packaged up, but they've also looked at the quality of the experience for the apprentice. And so one of the things that they have developed is something called on the job and off the job. So on the job is where you are working in the workplace doing your job, and off the job is when you will undertake your training, but I'll come on to that at the end. So just to pick up a couple more bits from this slide, apprenticeships do lead to progression, like I said, so lots of businesses will take you on as an apprentice and look to progress you. I've got an apprentice in my team at the moment who's doing a level 3 business apprenticeship. Absolutely, we know that she's going to be finishing that apprenticeship in about 6 months' time. So therefore, we'll be looking at what we can put her onto next. It could be a level 4, it could be onto a degree apprenticeship, and we're really keen that we keep developing her. And there is a bit of a myth with apprenticeships that employers let you go once you've finished your apprenticeship, but that is not my experience, and that's not the experience of a lot of employers that I've spoken to, because actually you make a huge investment in an apprentice. When you take them on, not only are you paying their salary, you're paying for their time off the job to go and undertake their training as well, but you're also putting all of that time from yourself, from colleagues, into developing that individual. And therefore, at the end of the apprenticeship, you don't want that apprentice, that brilliant member of staff, to go down the road and start working for your competitor. You want to try and keep them in your business and give them more opportunities to grow and develop with you. So, most apprenticeships most apprentices will be kept on in employment at the end of their apprenticeship and will carry on with that business, or maybe they'll move to another business and continue their career somewhere else. The other thing to remember with apprenticeships is that employers can offer you what's called a permanent contract or a fixed term contract. If it's a permanent contract, and this is what I would offer my apprentices, then when the apprenticeship finishes, it's guaranteed that you stay with that business. You might move on to a different role, you might take on new responsibilities, you might be promoted, but you will stay with that business. If you're on a fixed term contract, then at the end of that apprenticeship, if the employer doesn't have a job role for you to move into, then they will help you and your training provider to find alternative employment. But we're finding increasingly, actually, employers are more keen to offer permanent contracts because, like I said, they don't want you to leave at the end of the apprenticeship. They want you to stay with them. Apprenticeships do allow you to relocate. So just because you might be looking at apprenticeships doesn't mean you have to stay living at home if you don't want to. So some employers will offer relocation packages, which can be really useful. The problem with this, and I'll be very honest with you, the problem is it's really hard to find the information on relocation packages. Some employers, or most employers, won't shout about it on their websites, and this will tend to be the big employers who will offer those kind of relocation packages. So when you're looking at vacancies, it can be useful for you to just have an eye for that. And if you're not sure, or if you think that that employer is based quite far away, drop them an email and ask them and say, do you offer any support for your apprentices with relocation? Now, I've seen it happen in a couple of different ways. Sometimes employers will actually pay for apprentices to relocate to them and then will support them into some kind of shared living arrangement. Other employers don't go any further than to kind of create a group on Facebook, get a load of apprentices in touch with each other and say, there you go, kind of sort yourselves out, or here might be a list of some suggested accommodation sites, but kind of over to you. So there will be different approaches. Employers aren't actually required to do anything, so you'll have to do that piece of research yourself. Like I said, apprentices do enjoy a great social life. Not only will you be encouraged to socialise with your colleagues that you're working with in the workplace, but there's also lots of networks where apprentices are encouraged to get together and kind of share experiences and go out and socialise. And we've had apprentices in the east of England doing all sorts of things like escape rooms and going to the pub and going bowling and, you know, all sorts of activities they've set up. And last thing on this slide is that they're not the easy option. So I have heard lots of people kind of say, oh, it doesn't matter, I'll just get an apprenticeship. Actually, no one just gets an apprenticeship. You have to work hard to get that apprenticeship, and there will be a recruitment process that you'll need to go through. But more than that, the challenge of balancing work and study isn't to be underestimated, because although you will be given 20% of your time during the working week for off the job, you may be required to put in extra hours, you may need to undertake additional study, it's challenging. It's challenging enough to work full time as well as have the apprenticeship on top. So please don't think it's easy. But you know, you may just, you know, it's not easy is what I want to say. Okay, next one. Okay, so the different kinds of apprenticeships that there are. Lots of people, when we talk about apprenticeships, just think of traditional areas like plumbing and hairdressing, and we do have loads of apprenticeships in those areas, which is great news. But we also have lots and lots of new and exciting areas that have come out. So, for example, the aviation industry might not be the best one to pick on at the moment, but when times are better, the aviation industry do actually recruit a lot of apprentices. And what we haven't seen at the moment is big numbers of apprentices being made redundant at all. So we're working very closely with training providers across Hertfordshire, and it's not big numbers of apprentices being made redundant. And in fact, there's been quite a lot of employers in the news saying if they are making redundancies, they are not going to be making their apprentices redundant, and they're looking to protect them. So that is encouraging, but obviously we've got the next few weeks and months to see what happens. But if you look at an area like nursing, so nursing, I don't know if anyone saw the media last week, but Matt Hancock, the Minister for Health, made an announcement that they will be funding 20,000 extra registered nurse degree apprenticeship places in trusts up and down the country. So there is significant investment going into apprenticeship opportunities, as well as all of the current financial incentives that the Chancellor has announced for apprenticeship growth. So businesses can access up to £3,000 at the moment to take on an apprentice towards the cost of training them. So there's quite a lot happening to try and kind of stimulate the market. If you take an area like legal services, oh sorry, just on that, back on that slide, back on legal services. If you previously, if you wanted to become a solicitor, you would have needed to go to university and study full time. And we now have a legal pathway all the way from legal executive, so kind of working in more of an administrative role within a solicitor's practice, up to solicitor level, where you would be a fully qualified solicitor, all paid for, all employed the whole time. So not just sitting in a university lecture hall and learning about how you would be a solicitor, but actually putting it into practice in a live environment, in a paid job, working towards your qualified solicitor status, which is just quite incredible, isn't it? Next slide, please, Gareth. The different types of employers that offer apprenticeships. I've put up loads of big names here, and there will be lots that you recognise and lots that you think, oh, right, okay. And we've got companies like Airbus, for example, who are based in Stevenage, and GlaxoSmithKline, who have got sites in Stevenage and in Ware as well. All of these employers employ apprentices currently and take on apprentices. In usual times, they'll take in quite big numbers of apprentices. What we're kind of looking at the moment is slightly smaller recruitment activity, or slightly delayed. So whereas they might usually September, October time be coming out with their vacancies, some of them are saying, actually, we're going to hold on and we'll launch in the new year in 2021. It's different for every single business. So I can't give you a kind of blanket response, but there is activity happening. And the good news is there are vacancies coming through as well. It's just we're not quite seeing them in the volumes that we would normally be enjoying at this time of the year. What I would like to flag, though, is behind any of these big businesses are brilliant supply chains of smaller businesses like myself, who you probably never would have heard of, and you probably drive past our offices every day, you know, possibly, and you've got no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So when you do start looking at apprenticeship vacancies, please don't discount some of the smaller employers who will be offering fantastic opportunities for you to join their firms. It's not just the big names that take on apprentices. There's loads of small and medium-sized businesses locally who will be taking on apprentices as well. Thanks, Gareth. Next slide. Okay, touched on the levels a bit anyway, but this just shows you that there are opportunities from level 2 through to level 7. So there's quite a lot of talk about higher and degree apprenticeships, so I'll just explain that a bit. Higher apprenticeships is the term that the government uses for anything that sits across levels 4, 5, 6 and 7. So that's why higher says 4 and 7. You can do a higher apprenticeship at level 4, a higher apprenticeship at level 5, or a degree apprenticeship at level 6, or a degree apprenticeship at level 7, but they're all kind of packaged up as higher apprenticeships. What this hopefully reassures you is that there is that progression opportunity all the way up to master's level, should you wish to take it. And it's not a given, you know, not every job role needs you to be qualified to degree level or master's level, and you might not want to anyway. Lots of apprentices perhaps do a level 3, then take a little bit of a break for a year, then might go and do a level 4. You know, it doesn't have to be that kind of streamlined progression, but if you want it, you can find employers that will take you all the way through. Next slide, please, Gareth. So off the job learning, just to explain this quickly. So off the job learning will be the 20% of your time when you are not doing on the job. So we've got on the job and off the job. On the job is where you'll be doing your proper job. Off the job is where you might be doing any of these. So you might actually be doing off the job in the workplace, and I know that's a bit confusing. So if you imagine you might be kind of sat at your desk, but you wouldn't necessarily be doing the job tasks that you would normally do on that day. Your employer may say to you, right, we're going to do some workplace learning today. We're going to learn about a new database system, or I'm going to teach you about an area of our department, or you're going to go and shadow a colleague. You might work in finance, you're going to go and shadow someone in marketing. That can all be classed as off the job. You also might undertake online learning, and obviously when the pandemic hit, everything that was being delivered face-to-face got switched to online. So even if apprentices were furloughed, they were able to carry on with their apprenticeship studies, which was really important, and it's kept so many hundreds of thousands of people kind of on top of their programs. It could be classroom learning, so you could actually go into a college or a local training provider and sit with other colleagues in a classroom environment. Some of that is returning, you know, and although it's all socially distanced and very kind of highly supervised and everyone's kind of doing everything they need to do in terms of cleanliness and hygiene, some of that classroom activity is returning. And it could be with a college, a training provider, a local university. Off the job is quite flexible, but the most important thing to remember is you are paid for this time. So you're paid to be on the job, doing your job, and you are paid to also be off the job as well. Thanks, Gareth. So where to look? We'll whiz through these pretty quickly. So first of all, my website, because I've got to tell you about my website. So amazingapprenticeships.com, we've got a site called Vacancy Snapshot. And if you go to the next page or the next slide, please, then what you will find on there is about 100 of the biggest employers. And if you click onto those, you can see behind the scenes of their apprenticeship programs, and you can find out when they're likely to start recruiting, the kind of opportunities that they offer. The next one to tell you about is Find an Apprenticeship. So this is the government website. If you go to gov.uk and type in Find an Apprenticeship, this site comes up. Free of charge to register. Anyone can register. So mums, dads, students yourselves, you know, everyone can go on and set up an account. I would really encourage you to do that, because what you can do is make this system do the hard work for you. You can register to receive alerts, and you can sort opportunities by distance and also the date when they're closing. So it's a good way to search for different opportunities. There has been a massive reduction in vacancies on this site, it's fair to say. Normally we would have about 20,000 on there, and at the moment you can see we've got just over 6,000, but it's starting to recover. And we're starting to see maybe 800 to 1,000 jobs be added each week. Hertfordshire Opportunities Portal, Gareth gave it a big shout out at the very beginning, but I'm just going to flag up this bit, which is the apprenticeship section. So if you go into opportunities, you can look for an apprenticeship. I'd really recommend you to do this, because it's actually better than the government system at the moment. So the government system relies on employers or providers actually telling them that they want to advertise. What HOP does is it sucks in all of that great information from across lots of different platforms and job sites. So you'll actually find more Hertfordshire vacancies on HOP than you will on Find an Apprenticeship at the moment. So I would definitely recommend taking a look on HOP as well. Thanks. Next slide, please.
Oh, there you go.
So there were some slides on traineeships as well. So if I just finish off by explaining what a traineeship is. So a traineeship is something that has been around for a number of years actually, but has more recently come back into the press, because again, the Chancellor has put some money into traineeships and has decided to incentivise employers to offer work experience. Now, a traineeship lasts between 6 weeks and 12 months, although it's typical that it would be kind of up to 6 months. Its three main elements include vocational training for you, so you'll be kind of working towards developing your employability skills, but also your kind of vocational skills. You will also have a work experience placement of between 70 hours and 240 hours. So with those work experience placements, oh yeah, thank you. If you keep, there we go. So with the work experience, I mean, traineeships are unpaid. It's important to remember that. So you won't be paid a salary to be a trainee. But if you're struggling to get into an apprenticeship, a traineeship is a brilliant way to get some experience and to work with an employer. And you never know, if you're working with an employer, you might impress them so much that they decide to create an opportunity and keep you on anyway. So these are the elements of a traineeship: work preparation training and additional qualifications linked to the kind of industry you might like to get into. English, maths and digital, should you need them. And work placement, like I said, 70 to 240 hours. And expenses can be paid as well. So travel, lunch, childcare and disability support if it's needed. And then the final slide, I promise, is just where you might be able to find a traineeship. So if you could move on to the next slide, please. I'm sorry, if I don't know what's going on with these slides today. I'm not controlling them, but here we go. So there's different ways that you can find who offers traineeships. On here, you've got hop into, of course, you can go to the provider showcase. You can also look at our Beds and Hearts provider website, and you can also go to a site called gov.uk/find-traineeship as well. And I think that is it from me. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Apologies, I had some technical difficulties at the end there. The Wi-Fi was dropping in or out. We're going to hear from Caroline now. Just before I ask Caroline to introduce herself, again, if you have any questions or any discussions or anything you want to clarify, please put them in the questions tab. If you click on the questions on your dashboard, a text box will open, and then you can type in your question. That will be directed through to us. But I'm going to hand over to Caroline now, who can talk to you from the perspective as a recruitment agent in Hertfordshire. So Caroline, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Gareth, and thanks everyone. Some great advice been hearing this afternoon. So yes, I'm Caroline Deutsch. I'm a director at Select Appointments, and we're a recruitment consultancy based in St Albans. What I'm going to run through is to talk to you really about opportunities directly with employers, a little bit about the world of temping, and then also how and why you might want to work with a recruiter. So my slide, these are just really some key links to our website that offers all sorts of different advice that should you want to explore. I think firstly I wanted to start off by saying there are a lot of people applying for jobs right now. I know Anna mentioned it just now. So there is a lot of competition for jobs directly with employers for obvious reasons. But we are starting to see the green shoots. I was speaking to one of my clients this morning who they're all starting to go back into the office in September, all with social distancing in place, and they are looking to start recruiting. The other sorts of roles that we've had, because we really work across anything that's office based and that's local within Hertfordshire, so the types of roles that we've been seeing still happening, it's quite varied, which is really good. So it can be customer service, we've seen e-commerce roles, we've had admin roles, credit control, so quite a wide range. And what we're finding at the moment as well is that we work with small, medium-sized businesses, and so these businesses are able to be quite agile and adapt to what's been going on with COVID. And now what they're starting to do is think, okay, if I need to restructure my business, what does that look like? So that's going to start creating some really strong opportunities for people leaving school. You've got your A-levels, and it might just be that you're coming into a time when they're actually restructuring the business, and there's going to be the opportunity there for you, which will be great. Some of the sectors that we've really seen growing, obvious ones like healthcare, pharmaceuticals, but anything online. So we've all been driving Amazon mad. So anything in e-commerce, you might be interested in that. Social media, people are trying to make sure that you can find them if you're looking for their services. So anything sort of web-based. And we're also seeing professional services. So some of these will probably cross with apprenticeships as well, but it just might be interesting for you to hear about the sort of, the sectors that are actually in growth right now. So e-commerce, professional services, logistics, IT, telecoms, probably sort of top 5, top 6. So hopefully that just gives you a bit of an indication. And with Hertfordshire, we've got a really entrepreneurial mix of different types of businesses, whether it's the large employers such as Tesco and Acom in St Albans, or I think, as Anna said, there are lots of much smaller, medium-sized businesses who are doing very well. What I thought might be useful as well to talk to you about is temping. It's actually something which I sort of fell into, because like I went travelling, I came back and there was a recession, and thought I'd go and do a bit of temping, and ended up doing a data input role at a local marketing agency. And I thought, oh, I quite like this. And lucky for me, somebody went off on maternity leave, and they said, oh, Caroline, would you be interested in staying? I said, definitely, I'll do whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. Because I got to the point where I really could see what the company was doing. I liked the people, the role was interesting, and I thought, if I work hard, it's a great way of just being able to see something before you totally commit. So how temping works is that normally, if you're working through an agency, you'll get paid weekly, you fill out a timesheet, the agency employs you, you get an hourly rate that you're told about, and then you also get holiday pay on top of that. It does mean, though, there is a lot of flexibility within temping. So as much as you might only want to do a week or 2 weeks, a month, it's the same with the employer. So they might decide that they need you for a month. It might change. So it's just something to be aware of. But normally you'll be there to cover things like holidays, maybe someone's gone off sick, it could be for a maternity contract, or it could be they've just got a major project and they need some extra help. But I found it was just a really good way to understand a business, what it's like to work in a business, and whether it was the sort of thing that would really appeal on a sort of a long-term permanent basis. So we call that sort of sometimes going temp to perm, if you like. But yes, on our website as well, if you just go and follow any of those links, and you'll be able to navigate yourselves around. We've got a whole section on temping and what that means, and I'm always happy to have a chat with anyone who's keen to know more about temping. Also, so just wanted to touch on why would you work with a recruitment agency? What can we do? How can we help? At the end of the day, we work with local businesses, so we really know who's out there, who they're looking for, what they do, and we can offer that advice. So what I would suggest is, if you are keen to work with a recruiter, sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming going on and looking at sort of Indeed and job boards and everything else. Pick up the phone, give us a call. That's always great, because I love to chat to people, or send us an email, but keep it concise and constructive and tell us a little bit about what you want to do. And if you're not sure, it's that's where we can do the fact finding. So we can sit down with you and say, okay, well, look, what do you enjoy? What are you good at? What don't you want to do? And we'll sort of have a informal interview with you and just sort of get to understand a little bit more about you. And I always say to people, if you're not sure, talk to your friends, talk to your family, ask people what they do, what their job is, what that involves, just to help you get a good idea of what you think you could be interested in, because there is a lot of information out there. So it's just trying to understand what's going to be right for you. We will want to see a CV. So I'm sure at school you've been asked and you've got your CVs prepared. Again, we can help with that. And at this stage you might think, well, I haven't got lots of experience to put on there, but it doesn't matter. If you've got a Saturday job, put that on. It just shows you've got good customer service, that you're reliable, that you're used to working with people. So keep it simple, your experience, your skills, your qualifications, and also your interests. Sometimes, I've said to people, if you really want to stand out, film a little video. We can do that as well. So you could just sort of attach that, and it just brings it to life a little more. I mean, you guys are the experts on social media, but it's just something that will help you stand out a little bit more. And then also just think about where you want to work. So do you want to work for a large company or a small one? What's the culture of a business you might like to sort of work in? Do you want to be lots and lots of like-minded people, or you're quite happy to work somewhere really small, or you want to work somewhere large because you think that might offer you more sort of benefits and progression? Also think about where in terms of geography. So if you don't drive, is there public transport? Can you walk or cycle there. You're going to be doing that Monday to Friday, every day, every week. So it's important that you sort of think about that, because that's some of the questions that we'll ask. So anything you can sort of put together beforehand, we can probe and ask and just sort of check with you, but that's where we start to build a picture, because what we will then do is be very proactive. So we will go out and we will speak to the companies and the clients that we know, and even if they're not looking, we can say, well, hold on a minute, if you've got a restructure going on, or you thought you might need somebody at a mid-manager level, actually, I've got somebody who's just done their A-levels, they're really keen, they're really enthusiastic, I'd love to be able to talk to you a little bit more about them. So you need to share as much as you can with us, and then we can go out and like take you to market. It's a little bit like doing your little showpiece for us, and then we can really make that work hard and help you. So really, yes, make sure you've got your CV, look on our website, see how that can help with advice. Again, we've had information about, you know, writing CVs, how to interview, etc. There's lots and lots of stuff we can help. And yeah, good luck, and I hope that's been useful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Caroline. It's so great to hear from your perspective as a recruitment agent. And of course, there are a number of different recruitment agents in Hertfordshire. Often they've got properties, haven't they, on high streets up and down the county. But yes, as you've said there, pick up the phone. We've added your details onto the screen so people know how to contact you, but there are other agencies out there. We've had a number of questions that have come in throughout the webinar, but I think most of them have been answered already. There was one here about what level of apprenticeship would be most suitable for an A-level leaver, and I think Anna's probably covered that one as well. Caroline, you just spoke about the importance of, yes, someone picking up the phone. That's what the question is. What's the best way to approach a recruitment agent? So you said, yeah, pick up the phone, drop them an email. If circumstances change, yeah, to actually go in there, take your CV in there. So unless anyone else has got any further questions here, we're going to wrap this up now because it's just coming up to 3 o'clock. This session will be recorded and it will be made available via our YouTube channel, which we'll share details of. If you have any questions when you watch that back on YouTube, then you can put a question in there. We'll make sure that we signpost that question to you. Anna, you look like you had your hand up. Then was there anything you wanted to add in before we?
Thank you. I just would like to add on the apprenticeship side of things, please don't get hung up on the level. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes that I see A-level leavers particularly making, kind of thinking, well, if I'd been going to university, I would have been doing a degree, so therefore I only want to look at degree apprenticeships. The way that kind of academic levels work and apprenticeship actual jobs work is quite different, and I just worry that if you only look at degree apprenticeships, there will be some, but there's not as many as if you look at everything else that's available. It is not a backward step at all to go into a firm and start at a level 3 and work your way up, you know, unless your A-level links directly to the job that you're going to be doing. So for example, if you've done A-levels or a BTEC in IT and you were going into an IT role, that might help you to go a bit further up. But you know, if you haven't been in the workplace doing that role, then it's quite likely that you would start at maybe a level 3 or a level 4. So please just keep an open mind. It's much more important that you look at the business, you look at whether they're the right fit for you, if you're going to enjoy working there, and then the apprenticeship bit will just fall into place and you'll be able to work your way through the levels. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So one question that's just come in for Caroline. Do all temp jobs tend to be office-based jobs?
We tend to focus more on office-based roles, but having said that, I've got 3 or 4 temps who are doing a warehouse role. They're students. It's not sort of picking and packing, it's doing something quite repetitive, but they don't mind. So yeah, we get all sorts, but it's mainly office, yes. Yep,
okay, all right, thanks. A couple of comments on there, Emma, about how good the Pathways programme looks. Someone's commenting on how they knew someone who'd taken part in one of the Prince's Trust programmes in the past, and that was a really good step. they felt it was a backward step at the time, but actually they've realised that it helped them, build them on as well. So it's good that you covered that, Viv, as well. Right then, well, look, thank you. I think we've answered all the questions that have come in now. So thank you ever so much to all of our panellists for joining us today. Thank you for logging in and watching it. We really hope that it's been informative. We hope that there will be some little gems of information that maybe you've been able to pick up on that you weren't aware of already, and that's going to help you make some really good informed decisions for what your next steps are actually going to be. The Hop channel, Hop Into site, you'll find in there that we've recorded careers interviews with people from a variety of different industries, including a junior doctor, a physiotherapist from life sciences, IT. Those are all available to watch back via our YouTube channel as well. So do have a look at those, and we will continue to record those through October. So wishing everyone the best of success and the best of luck with your next steps, and hopefully some of the things that we told you about today will have been of use. Otherwise, go and enjoy the rest of your afternoons, and we look forward to finding out how you're getting on. Thank you.